the palsy, the Bible says that he healed them. It wasn't uncommon at all for people who had been healed by Jesus to want to stay in the company of Jesus. I mean, after all, who better to keep company with than somebody who was better than any doctor in the whole land? He didn't need no medicine, and you wouldn't have to make a scheduled appointment with him. You wouldn't have to schedule your visit during the office hours. All you had to do was just get in the crowd, and once you got in the crowd, then you just let Jesus work. And when Jesus went to work, the blind started to see. When Jesus went to work, the deaf started to hear. The mute began to speak, and the diseased were made whole. Just let him work, and lives will be changed. Look with me at Matthew chapter 20 and beginning at verse number 30. Matthew chapter 20 and beginning at verse number 30. Notice what the Bible shows us here. Matthew chapter 20 and beginning at verse number 30. And behold, two blind men sat by the wayside. When they heard that Jesus passed by, they cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And the multitude rebuked them, because they should hold their peace. But they cried out the more, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And that's when Jesus stood still and called them and said, What will ye that I shall do unto you? And they said unto him, Lord, that our eyes may be open. And so Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately they received their sight, and they followed him. Once more and again, we had folk who followed Jesus because they had heard about him. Then we had people who followed Jesus because they had been healed by him. And then lastly, there were individuals who followed Jesus because they had been helped by him. Look at Mark chapter 9 and beginning at verse number 17. The gospel according to Mark chapter 9 and beginning at verse number 17. The Bible says, And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit, and whithersoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. He said, And I spake to thy disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. Drop down to verse number 20. The Bible says, And they brought him unto him. They brought this boy unto Jesus, and when he saw him, straightway that evil spirit tore him, and he began to fall on the ground and started wallowing and foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? And his father said, Of a child, and oft times it has cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But he said, If thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. The man realized that he was up against an unbeatable task by himself. He realized that he was handling something with his son that was too big for him to handle. And he sure enough realized it was too big when even the Lord's disciples couldn't handle it. But then he realized that if I can't handle it, and if the Lord's folk can't handle it, I know somebody who sure enough can handle it. And so the Bible says that Jesus answered him in verse number 23 and said, If you can believe, it's not a question of whether or not I can help you. The question is, do you believe that I can help you? He said, because all things are possible unto him that believes. Is there anybody in here tonight who has ever come to Jesus for some help and had the mindset that you could not doubt whether or not he had the ability to help you? It's not whether or not he can help. I mean, we know that Jesus is a present help in the time of need. As a matter of fact, the psalmist said in Psalms 121, speaking about the Lord, that he would lift up his eyes unto unto the hills from whence cometh his help, because he recognized that all of his help came from the Lord. Even the Hebrew writer wrote in chapter 13 and beginning at verse number 5 to let your lifestyle or your conversation be without covetousness, and just be content with the things that you have, because he has said, I will never leave thee, nor will I forsake thee, so that you may boldly say that the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. It's not a question of whether or not Jesus can help. It's a matter of me believing and knowing in my heart that he can help. See, that'll keep you following him in good times and in bad times. When you know that Jesus is your help, you don't run to somebody else for help. When you know that Jesus is your help, you don't run to some substance for help. When you know that Jesus is your help, you don't sit back and worry yourself into a nervous, anxietous fit, because you know that you got you somebody who understands the essence of what you're dealing with. And as long as Jesus knows what I'm dealing with, that he's all the help I need. When you have that kind of assurance and faith in God, you'll stay behind him all the way. You have the mindset that I started with Jesus and I'm going to finish with Jesus. I've come too far to turn back now. The victories that I had in the past is evidence of what he's going to do for me in the future. I mean, the little hurdles, the little bitty hurdles that I get over from day to day is just the proof that I need to move on to tomorrow. And so you have to know that Jesus can bring certainty to an uncertain situation. It doesn't matter where it is, and it doesn't matter what it is. Jesus can handle it. He can bring comfort in the midst of calamity, and it doesn't matter how bad the calamity is. One time his disciples were out there on a boat on a turbulent sea, and the sea had started to rock the boat from side to side. The waves were pushing it up and back and forth, and the disciples thought that they were shown up in peril to the degree that they asked the Lord whether or not he even cared that they were about to perish. But that's when Jesus took their importunity and turned it into an opportunity, and went to the top of the ship and showed them who God really was when he said, just peace, be still, and made the rain stop falling and the waves calm down like a little obedient child sitting in the classroom. That's the kind of power that Jesus has, and because of that we understand him to be the kind of help that we need in whatever kind of trouble we're in, and so that'll keep us following him all the way. It's what Jesus wanted us to understand through this particular text, that there are people who follow him for the wrong reason, but we better make sure that we follow him for the right reason. In John chapter 6, there were some folk that kept following him because they saw him take 2 loaves of fish, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, and divided amongst a multitude, and they figured if this man can feed us like that, then we better stay close to him. And that's when Jesus decided to let them know that you followed me for the wrong reason. He said, don't labor with me for the meat that's going to perish. One of these old days your belly won't be able to digest food no longer. One of these old days your stomach won't be able to stomach the substance that's going to be put in there. And so you got to labor for something heavier than just a daily meal. As a matter of fact, when Jesus was being tempted of the devil in the wilderness, one of the ways he straightened the devil up is by telling him that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. And so that's when I really know that Jesus is my help. When I ain't got enough in the cabinet to put together a loaf of bread, all I got to do is just watch him work. All I got to do is just don't give up the